What is the true cost to your domain name strategy? Hey, Chris, I got media options, help companies to acquire the raw, unfiltered version of the brand name. Acquisitions, domain acquisitions, also work on some of the best domains on the planet. So check it out, mediaoptions.com. Check out my blog, chriszuiker.com. Do a daily podcast. Check out my YouTube channel, do some YouTube videos. And if you're not connected on LinkedIn, do it. But today's video and topic is, what's the true value for your domain name strategy? I was talking to a VP of marketing at a company that does like $10 billion in business. And they publicly traded company, but they don't own their domain name, and we're brokering that domain name, so it's available, it's for sale, and they had this opportunity to acquire it. Not sure if they've had the opportunity in the past. I think they did at one point, but they passed for whatever reason, and now it's up, and so we're engaged in this conversation. And it was a good conversation, by the way, very, very good conversation. Not going to share the company, I don't think it's right, but interesting. So two things that he kind of shared on this call. One, he said, hey, we're just trying to wrap our head around the price tag of this domain name because it just, it's a big investment. And the second thing he said is, like, we're $1 billion company. Like, we've done it this far. So, like, obviously it's not hurting us. Now, on the face value, I get it. Like, I totally get it. Hey, you're $1 billion. You have made it. You're successful. And you are, buying this domain name and not capturing this domain name. Listen, it's not going to put you under. It's just not. You're $1 billion, right? You have thousands of employees. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it's not costing you money. Okay, and that does not mean that you should look at it in the price tag of what is going to cost you as a expense, because it's an asset. Domain names are assets, and so regardless of what it's going to cost them. Let's say, just for the sake of this conversation today, we just say it's $1 million. Okay. Now, what is it going to make your company? How is it going to impact your company? Now, the confusion that comes along with this, the second statement is that, hey, we made it to $1 billion and we don't have it. Okay, that's great, but then you're paid for that, and that's the important point when you're looking at domain name strategies and your domain name is that, well, what's your current domain name strategy costing you? You see, what happens is that they bury it under the different other expenses. So, for instance, your marketing expense, let's just say for the sake, it's $10 million, okay? Well, guess what? Hey, there's a portion that's going to have a halo effect this other brand, but that's very, very difficult to monetize. It's very difficult to say, okay, well, what is that? Now, we know from the example that O.co, when they rebranded O.co, they lost 61% of their traffic. 61%, so a big impact. We know that teamwork.com saw like a hockey stick-like result, and sales conversion when they rebranded to teamwork.com versus like teamworkpm.net. Okay, the absolute worst domain name. But they saw like a hockey stick-like result. We know that cover.com said, hey, they purchased their domain for $850,000, and guess what? Like, it had an impact. They saw an increase in their conversions and trust and perception to their brand. So we know that there's these impacts. We know Hive.com saw a 45% increase in their brand, in their traffic when they rebranded to Hive.com. So we know that there's an impact. But what's your domain name? What is it costing you? Like, it's costing you today, and it's costing you every single year in these intangibles. Like, how many minutes are your employees wasting because they say, hey, like, we call ourselves this brand, but guess what? Like, you have to like type in this email. Like, that's not our email. Our email is this. It's a little bit complicated. It's like really 4 letters and whatever. But don't go over here because that's not our brand, right? We don't own that. Or you have to go to this complicated 3-word, 2-word domain name because we had to add on extra words because we didn't own our brand. You see, that's costing you time. That's costing you efficiencies. We say a lot, like, what does it cost you in email security? What does it cost you in emails? Hey, I sent you that email. You didn't get it? You didn't get my order? What do you mean you didn't get it? Like, I sent it to you. Ah, that's right. I sent it to the wrong email address. You see, there's all these intangibles that you're paying for this. But when you don't know the domain name, like, you're paying for it year after year after year. And as your company grows, the impact actually grows with it. It actually grows with it. Now, I worked at some quick numbers here on a spreadsheet just to show some ideas and examples about how a company needs to look at this return on investment. Okay, they look at this return on investment. So let's say there's 1,500 employees. let's say there's 7 minutes a day each employee spends in saying, hey, don't go over there, go over here, right? So let's take it down to 5 minutes. 5 minutes a day, right? They're talking to someone new, and they're saying, hey, here's my domain name. Here's our email. Make sure you spell it right. Here's what it is. We don't own it. Okay. Now that could be high. That could be low. Okay. Depending upon if you're a sales organization, depending upon if you're support. But in general, I'm just going to use 5 minutes a day. That's a total of 7,500 minutes in a overall employees. That's 124 hours in a day. If the average employee is making $15 per hour, that's costing you $1,875 a day. And if you take that out over, let's say, 255 days, that's $478,000 that's costing you. Okay. So you have to go through and do the research and do the math. Let's say I just take it down to 1 minute. Let's say 1 minute a day. That's still $100,000 a year that's costing you in confusion. $100,000 that your domain has caused you because of the confusion and because you have to tell them where to go. Now that's $15 an hour. Let's say I bring it to $20 an hour. That's $127,000. If it's only 1 hour a day, if it's 2 hours, if it's 2 minutes a day, that's $255,000. Those are real costs. The confusion is real costs. It's costing your brand. Now let's say, as far as a marketing calculator, let's say you spend $10 million in marketing a year, and there's a 5% kind of confusion in there that's going to, because the confusion and your domain and your brand don't match. Well, that's $500,000 impact a year. Okay. Very real impact to your brand. This is costing you money. Your domain strategy today is costing you money. What you think about how domain names interact with your brand is just simply not true. Like, it has this profound impact on your brand. And we know this through the various examples that we have. We know this with the example of carrot.com. They talked about how they went to this trade show, and 50% of the people that came up to them said, hey, I really like on Carrot. And that's when this inflection point said, wow, I've got a problem. I've got a branding problem. I've got a domain name problem, because his domain name was on carrot.com, and yet they call themselves carrot.com. And so their customers, because they needed to create simplicity, because they needed to explain to everyone like where to find their brand and how to interact with the brand, because the portal to interact with their brand was their domain name, they by default became on carrot.com. Hey, I love on Carrot. It's like, no. Like, listen, we're Carrot. And that epiphany led him down the road to then acquiring his domain name, carrot.com. Now he has that domain name, carrot.com. Now, different lesson here is that if you look at the other companies that could have acquired that, carrot.com raised like $15 million. Carrot.co, I think, raised like $28 million. Other big players that have an interest in that raise the money, but they'll never have the opportunity. It's off the market forever. That domain name's off the market forever. So in the case of a big company, $1 billion company, and you approach them for your brand, how much confusion is it creating? How much confusion is there not having owning the essence of the brand? That's why, if you look at it, most publicly traded companies, most big companies, most companies that we interact with on a daily basis, they own their brand. I mean, how crazy would that be if Apple didn't own Apple.com? Be crazy, because they'd be forever putting money in and just that confusion and driving traffic on the brand. We'll quantify that. Find out what the real cost is to your company. Now, that being said, that cost is erased, right? When you own the simplicity and effortlessness, then like you forever, it's $10 a year registration, but you own it. Okay, it ceases to exist, but right now you'll pay that every single year. Now, another way to look at this value is to say, well, hey, if an average salesperson was $100,000 a year, so let's just say, okay, with benefits and everything, $100,000 a year, would this produce as much value as having that average salesperson? Would owning the simplicity of our brand and being able to declare it to the brand produce this value? Absolutely. Like, you're doing $10 billion, right? You're doing $1 million, you're doing $2 million. Absolutely, it has an impact. What's that impact? What's the ROI? But be honest about what's the true cost of your domain name strategy today, because it's costing you money. It's costing you money. Your decision to build your business on confusion is costing you money. It's costing your business money. And regardless if there's a line item that's on your budget today and it's not seen, it's not talked about, it's costing you money because there's confusion. We know this day in, day out because email. But I'm relevant on today. Think about that. Consider the possibility that this could be the only opportunity you have to control your brand. And if you pass on it and another brand picks it up, you'll forever be paying them a dividend. A portion of your marketing will go and will flow to that company. The equity that you build will have this halo effect on that company forever. Consider that possibility. If you have the opportunity to acquire your domain name, take it. Hey, if you got any questions on domain names, reach out to me, chris@mediaoptions.com. Check out mediaoptions.com and check out chriszuiker.com.